Hi, and welcome to this intriguing, mystical, and slightly scary episode of The Gist of It. Let me start with an amazing mantra, Sanskrit mantra from Shiv Puran. Aghorebhyo Taghorabhyo Aghor Ghore Terebhyaha Sarvatah Sharvaha Sarvebhyo Namaste Rudra Rupebhyaha. Literally translated, I bow to the fiercest form of Shiva and also the compassionate and the handsome form of Rudra. Everywhere and always I serve, I bow to all your forms, Lord Shiva. Today we meet Shishir Kumarji, who is a seeker on the left hand path to God, the path of Tantra. He worships the Aghora dimension of Shiva. Aghoris traverse the darkness of ignorance to arrive at light. Everything is inclusive, no duality, no dichotomy of good or evil, or dark or light exists on this path to super consciousness that is embodied by Shiva, Mahadev. Let's know more about this mystical and intriguing world of Tantra from a modern day seeker, Shishir Kumarji. Hi, hello, and welcome everyone. So, I have a very fantastic guest today. I would like to welcome Shishir Kumarji on the show. Hi, Shishirji.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, we have a very exciting episode lined up. First of all, this is the brand new book that we have published, and this is written by Shishir Kumarji. So, 2 copies. It's doing extremely well. It's titled Agorabhyo Ghorabhyo, Sanskrit, and I would really like you to check this out. It's a fantastic book of 23 stories. Now, the reason I said this is going to be an exciting episode is because we are going to talk about stuff that you might not have heard or seen elsewhere. There are a lot of books, there are a lot of series, a lot of stuff available out there on occult and Indian spiritual mystic traditions, but very few first hand accounts from somebody who speaks very eloquently and you can identify with what Shishirji is saying. So, right away, I would like to start by telling my audience that you started as a paranormal investigator and you did not believe in ghosts and stuff like that. From there, your journey started, and then what happened?
Well, I do not believe in ghost. Is a false claim. False claim, I will say, because anybody who is born in India, they will have a ghost story. Somebody in their family knows a ghost, has seen a ghost, or there is a house besides their house that has a ghost.
Yeah.
So everybody in India believes in ghost. Yeah, we can shun, be brave, and say no, I don't believe in ghost. But yes, with my profession, because I was a crime reporter, so every day I had to see a lot of dead bodies. And because I was in a Naxal infested area, so I saw gore movies every day. So lynched bodies. So literally with time, I understood that dead bodies are nothing but dead bodies. And so I stopped believing that, yes, there can be something more than death. After that, there's nothing. This is what I believe. But then something happened in my life that I will tell in my next book.
Interesting.
Yeah. So from there, I started to uh, plunge into this world of paranormal to understand what this paranormal is. Are there entities that are here and we cannot see them? And of course, the Western world helped me a lot. I read a lot. I did some course. I started investigating. I started investigating haunted places. And down the line I understood, okay, what I understand and what I'm trying to understand is in a very tight frame. All right. So it was like that I am trying to communicate with a ghost with different instrument, but the other way around, I might be talking to some intelligent being around me who is thinking me as of a joke. Understanding, I'm asking what is your name and they're laughing, ho ho ho, see what he's asking. So there is no clear visibility except the fact that yes, there is something. That is what Western paranormal can teach you. And then again, there were things like attacks on us when we investigated. So, not unlike movies, there are no death threats in paranormal investigation, but yes, you get slapped, you get scratches. So,
Ah.
to avoid that, and the worst attack is on your psychological behavior, right? So you get depressed. So there had to be something that could protect us. So it was spirituality. So
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you come back home to
Hmm.
India and then you learn. First, you try everything, Saint Michael protection and this shielding, that shielding. But at the end of the day, no, it is Indian spirituality that can save you. And once you are saved, the next thing that you will do is you want to help people.
Hmm.
So it is from there that I understood that I will have to be a part of Tantra, understand Tantra. And when you enter into Tantra, you understand Aghor is the the zest of everything.
Hmm.
The purest form of our religion is Aghor. So our
Hmm.
book is named Aghorabhyo Ghorabhyo. The actual Sanskrit verse is Aghorabhyo Atha Ghorabhyo. So what is dark is light, what is light is dark. So
Right.
until you understand darkness, you cannot understand light. Until you understand light, you cannot understand dark. So there needs to be a balance. The yin yang theory of Chinese feng shui.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I have been. I, you rightly said that in the Western mystical traditions of paranormal, there is some nomenclature and classification like Beelzebub, Lucifer, Belial, Mammon. These are the names of the devils that we've heard in various scriptures. But based on my understanding and discussions with you, that we have a very comprehensive system of nomenclatures of different entities beyond
Yeah.
human body. So this is where the next question comes from, because a lot of people will be watching this episode, a lot of people internationally and even Indians. My understanding started with the book, which I know you don't like very much, The Left Hand Path to God by Robert Svoboda. And funnily enough, it is one of the highest selling books of all time for last 3 decades. And I know why it is the highest selling book, because it introduced this Indian system of nomenclature and Indian system of occult
Yep.
and mysticism. But that's it. It just introduces, it tells you, okay, this is it, this is this, and this is this.
Mhm.
So a lot of Western people would like to understand, what is this system? If there is this properly, written and documented in our ancient texts, what is this system of nomenclature of different entities, which normally we call ghosts? We just say ghost, bhoot, or pret.
See, what is the plus point of Sanatan Dharma is that Sanatan Dharma got a lot of time to research,
Yeah.
right? And put its research, the solutions, and the problems either in form of books or books that were given directly to the disciple. All right. Other religions are new. All right. They did not get so much of time, so their understanding about supernatural is lesser than our understanding about supernatural, our understanding about God. All right. We have a broader, because any religion will say we have 4 Vedas and 4 lines that says it all. All religions sum up in 4 lines of Vedas. All right. With this, we also have a fair understanding of the aliens. What is an alien? An alien is something that we cannot actually see, feel, taste. All right, the 5 senses that we use. If those 5 senses cannot detect a life form, so that is an alien. Alien is not necessarily something coming on a UFO.
Mm.
All right. So even if you read the Western ufologists, they will tell that not now, but some 10,000 years back, some say 2,000 years back, there were aliens who lived on this earth. All right. So what is the beauty of Sanatan Dharma? Whatever timeline they are talking about, aliens lived on earth, we, the Hindus, lived on this earth then also. So we have a first-hand encounter with all these entities. All right. So when they talk about Lucifer, when they talk about demons who live on the earth, we have Betal, Kusman, Bhairav, Dakini, Shakni, Hakni. All right. So there is a broad classification of everything, and it is not like a simple chant or a Georgian chant or in the name of Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. No, no. If we have a spirit, we know the spirit, we have a different tantra for it. So what is a tantra? Let us now come to
Yeah, yeah.
this. You have not asked, but let me tell you. People think that tantra is something like Hum Pat Swaha. So there is this very colorful tantric sitting somewhere in the corner of the forest with a Havan Kund. No, no. Tantra is system. Tantra means mechanism. So even if you pray to goddess or you pray to a god, so you should know how will your words reach God.
Hmm.
It is as simple as you could communicate to me because you have my mobile number.
Hmm.
So mobile is a tantra through which you can connect to me, or a social media is a tantra. So Hindus have their own mechanism to connect to entities that we cannot see with our own eyes, we cannot
Hmm.
hear, we cannot feel. All
Hmm.
right. So all the entities and all have their different forms, all have their different ways of communication, and that is tantra.
Hmm.
This is what we follow. And Aghor is a deeper plunge into the same thing.
Hmm.
Aghor tends not to just connect to the entities, but Aghor is a process in which you have an entity and you get information from the entities. You make them
Okay.
even work. That is a bad example.
Yes. Okay. So what I think people would be thinking at this time is that Hindus using tantra and the knowledge and the insights of the ancient texts, something a system that has been mastered over thousands of years,
Yeah.
have access to different gods and goddesses, different entities. So that means that first of all that they exist, right? So that's the starting point, that there are different entities beyond us, they exist, and then we have a system to tap into those the powers and the blessings of those entities. This is
Yeah.
in more or less every religion believes this. We have a very profound system. That's what you're saying. The Hindus, the Sanatan Dharma has a very profound, very clear system that has been mastered and proven. Give us an example. Let's say example of a goddess. So why would you connect to a specific goddess and not the other one? Is there kind of a designation or a description of things that one particular goddess or an archetype can do this, so you pray to that goddess or god? So why do you pray specifically to different gods and goddesses?
So, as I said, what our strength is research. Okay, the research that we have done.
Yeah.
So let us quote something from Aristotle's metaphysical theory. What he says is that we are nine dimensions. That is what we Hindus also believe.
Yeah.
So nine dimensions has nine permutation and combination. All
Hmm.
right, and we stay in a three-dimensional universe. All right, and so there are universes that are parallel to us. Like I had quoted this example earlier when we had a talk, that for a flying bee there's nothing like a moving tortoise. It is because of the difference in the shutter speed.
Hmm.
And for a tortoise there's nothing like a flying bee because it flies so fast that a tortoise cannot see it.
Hmm.
Similarly, even in this three-dimensional world there are things that are faster than what we can absorb. All
Hmm.
right, and so they live around us and we cannot see it. Also,
That is
then there are,
scary. That is going to be
yeah,
scary for a lot of people.
of course, there are people nowadays. This shadow people thing has increased. People see people moving when they see from the corner of the eyes, they can see things. All right, so then there are different dimensions around us, and these dimensions can be crossed over, not using a UFO, but if you are uh, enlightened enough, you know how to cross this dimensions and you can see things around. All right, so there are entities that have their consciousness higher than us. When we say consciousness, what is it? So there is this Moola mantra, Shunya Shunya Mahashunya Shunya mein ek Omkar. So like our cover page has this Mahashunya.
Yeah.
So this is the ultimate goal of everything. All right. So when we say Mahadev, so Mahadev is Mahashunya. All right. There's no intelligence, there's no consciousness, there's nothing. Because he's absolute, everything is inside him. So he cannot feel anything outside of him. Then comes Mahamaya. And Mahamaya creates the whole illusion so that you understand this Mahashunya. All right. She creates the world. You come out of that Mahashunya, and your journey or ultimate goal is to finally go and merge into the Mahashunya. All right. So how do you enter Mahashunya? You enter Mahashunya when you know the Mahashunya. So suppose a lower dimension entity who has a lower consciousness can tell you things of lower dimension or lower consciousness that you cannot understand. And a higher dimension entity can tell you things that are beyond your reach. All right. And with this, you know a roadmap that where you need to go. All right. So our dharma again came up with different entities from different dimensions that has the capacity to introduce you to the more conscious or lesser conscious world around you. All right. So you pick up an entity for the information you want to have, or the experience you want to have, the kind of sixth sense you want to generate. But that is what an entity will do. There's another interesting prospect. So we talk about entity and we talk about God and goddesses. These are two different things. All right. I don't think anybody has told this till now. Okay, this is a big secret I'm going to reveal now. Entities or spirits are living beings like us in different dimensions. But God and goddesses are forms of energy. All right. So you will say, what is great about it then? So suppose, Harshadji, I pray to Goddess Kali and I see Goddess Kali. All right. And then you start praying Kali and you see Goddess Kali. Your Kali and my Kali won't be same.
Okay.
Because this extension of energy, this power packet of energy will be our own extension. So my Kali will come out of my own energy that I have taken from the Mahashunya. So your Kali and my Kali are different. Your Durga and my Durga is different. Right. But they are part of the same energy and we all are a part of the same energy. So when we pray to God and goddesses, what we do is we try to manifest our own energy to see a part of that super conscious God or goddess. All right. And we manifest that God or goddess as we have its picture in our own brain. Are you getting my point? So God and goddesses don't have body. It is we from our own consciousness, our own intellect, and our own energy that we give them a form.
Okay.
Is this stretched to understand?
No, this is quite interesting. So why would why would somebody pray to Kali or Durga or Lakshmi or any other goddess? What specific? Is there a goal, or why do we do that? Why do
goal, like if you study Sanatan Dharma, all right. So it was the Mahashunya first, absolute Mahashiva sitting, Mahadev sitting, and just in his own dhyana, in his own meditative state, Mahamaya comes, she plays around, and then this world is formed. Then comes Brahma, all right, and then comes his daughter, then comes Gayatri Savitri, and then 3 Bij mantras are born. Why were these 3 Bij mantras? Why did these 3 Bij mantras come? Because without reproduction, the world could not run. All right. So Brahma asked Mahamaya and Mahadev, and he asked permission so that now, like he was creating cities, town, and living beings,
Hmm.
but that chain could not be continued until a reproductive system comes into place.
Hmm.
So he asked for a permission. Then three Bij Akshar came.
Hmm.
Am, Bhrim, Klim. All
Hmm.
right. So Am is for knowledge.
Hmm.
Amकारी सृष्टि रूपाये ह्रीमकाली प्रतिपालिके क्लीमकारी काम रूपिण्ये बीज रूपे नमोस्तुते. तीन बीज है आपके पास. So so the first beej, sorry, I switched to Hindi. So the first beej is you get intellect. All right. The second beej is where you earn wealth and be a part of Maya. And the third is when you can expand, where your kamna. See, this is also again, when we say Krim Kali Kam Rupini, Kam Rupan does not mean like the Western world interprets. Kam Rupan means any kamna that you have. I think of something and I can now manifest it. My thoughts manifest. That is Kam Rupan. All right. So in this way, the whole world was then divided. All right. So three sections of human beings came into existence. Those who wanted knowledge, those who wanted Maya, and those who wanted powers. All right. And this was not only true with the humans, but also with the entities. All right. So then there were entities called Yakshini. So there is a class of Yakshini. If you do Siddhi of them, they will take you to the Am Bij Mantra. So you will have knowledge. Then there are Yakshinis who will give you Maya. Then there are Yakshinis who will give you power. All right. So broadly, there are three classifications: knowledge, wealth, and power. And you need to choose an entity or a goddess according to the power, intellect, or money, whatever you want. And this classification has been made because we had time.
The luxury of time.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that the three Bij mantras you talked about, they're all ascribed to the goddesses, the feminine.
Yes.
And not the masculine. So is Shiva the only masculine in our system?
No. Shiva is not the only. It is about, see, a feminine. See, let me also be very clear about this. When we talk about feminine and masculine thing in God, let us first understand that they don't have body.
Right.
All right. So it is what they do is the clarification we do, because for a human being, manifesting something, reproducing something is feminine.
Right. Creative
Protecting
energy.
somebody. All right. Or making an infrastructure or killing somebody, that is masculine. That is human mentality that we have. That is why it is Mother Goddess who can create. Also, because Mahadev, see, Mahadev never creates. All right. And Mahamaya creates. So every creative thing was feminine.
Feminine, right.
Energies don't have gender. Energies don't have sex. They don't have life. They don't have a form. They are energies.
So there is a creative energy and a destructive energy. That can be loosely said feminine and masculine.
There is no destructive energy as such.
Yeah.
So no destructive energy in play.
So what would be the opposite of feminine? The creative energy. The sustenance.
Correct.
Yeah.
The cycle needs to go on, right?
Yeah.
So anything that goes old, that needs to die out for a fresher thing to come up, right? So that is a system. You cannot blame anybody.
Right.
So destruction is a negative word.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, it is negative. And so when I think of feminine and masculine, I know they're very loosely used. So I always think of Shiva and Shakti. Shakti standing and Shiva lying in the feet. And in a very loose understanding of the imagery, it's that the creative force is always more powerful. Yeah. And I think the way I interpret it is that Shiva has to try and control or manage the immense power of the creative force it can somehow become Kali and Durga and create havoc. So it's very interesting mythological interpretation. But what you're talking about is that these are not things hidden and restricted only to books. You are a practitioner and you have experienced and you experience and you help other people experience this. So
Yeah.
it's not
I also help people.
it's not just mythology. That's one thing that
Yeah.
I get from you.
So that is the beauty of Aghora. It says until you see an entity, you should not believe it. So
Right.
suppose you are like chanting Bhairava and you don't see Bhairava until and unless the day you see him is the day you start believing him. Right. So they give you a whole process. Actually, they give you the phone number. So this is the phone number you can contact. So you just need to follow the process, and then you will be connected to the entity or the God you want to have a connect with.
Sounds really good because I think a lot of people are going to ask this question. So how does what we've been talking about, how can this help an ordinary non-religious person who wants to better his or her life?
First of all, we never had religion.
Yeah.
India never had a religion. We never had a religion. Sorry. Dharma is not religion. All right. Loosely, like everything is loosely done. When we switched from Hindi, from Sanskrit to Hindi, everything was loosely done.
Yeah.
And then Mughals came, things were nowhere in place. They came with their own language. They mixed it with Hindi. Then it became Urdu. Then it became half Hindi, half Urdu. And then our understanding and interpretation became horrible. Then we started learning English. And with English, everything went here and there. So the point is that we don't understand. And we try to, can I like get back your question again?
Yeah, the question is how can this help an ordinary person like this sitting in London who wants to better his or her life?
So let me tell you. So with time, we have forgotten the Sanatan Dharma. So Dharma is your duty. It is not your religion. All right. We don't have any religion. Why don't we have any religion? A religion will tell you, you can have a religion if you have some supreme power whom you need to pray. Like, oh God, thank you for your daily bread or anything like that. But for us, we are God. So every Hindu who gets up is taught to be God. By doing meditation, by doing dhyan, by doing yoga, you are taught to be God. Aham Brahmasmi, main hi Brahma hu. Okay? And before that, there are stages where it is like, I am what you are. All right. Soham. So there are practices. So we don't have a religion, we have a duty. Duty to whom? Duty to ourselves. So anybody who is a non-religious is a Sanatani. All right. Because anybody who is a non-religious is somebody who believes on oneself. All right. I believe on myself. So if I believe on myself, I will give time to understand who I am. So come to Sanatan Dharma, realize who you are. All right. And realize your immense power and get connected to the Mahashunya. No other religion has the power to make realize what superpower human being is. It is just the Sanatan Dharma. We are spiritual, we are not religious. We don't have religion.
Right. It's very interesting. It's really, really interesting because I had a conversation with a friend yesterday and he said that I've been reading Hinduism and I've come to this, that they recurringly ask, who am I? And so I've started to ask this question from myself, and it is so profound that it forces me to become a better version of myself. But I don't have a process. So Sanatan Dharma gives the process, and as you said, it has been mastered and proved by the great sages and rishis and practitioners like yourself in the modern day. And so you said something that don't believe until you experienced it.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I am a non-believer. Okay. But I am very Um, Theoretically, I'm very much sold to the idea, and I have never experienced anything that you might call paranormal or not normal, but I've experienced the power of the self. For example, just practicing gratitude instead of praying in front of a goddess's idol and asking for a boon or asking for some help in life. I have learned to be more thankful for what I already have, and make my abilities, make me more of a able bodied person to be able to do more of what I can do good. So I want, God, I pray to everyone, I want gods to make me bigger, better believer so that I can do more of what I'm capable of. Just like you said that we have the power to make superhumans. So I don't think about becoming a superhuman, but I really want gradually every day. And I feel thankful that it happens every day, every week, things that we do in daily lives. So my prayer is a prayer of thankfulness, not asking for a boon. And that is, you can say, that is my religion. And I have heard you talk in your videos. You also said once that whenever we pray to God, we are always asking, and we always have a list of things. Give me that, give me that, and we are always angry. So instead of that, if we try, acknowledging what we already have and what we can be, believing in what we can be, and the process that you talked about is a pretty good roadmap to achieve our immense potential. So it's the reason I shared my long monologue is because a lot of people when they hear about Aghora and Tantra, and it's an interesting question coming, that they feel it's just acquiring quick powers or quick siddhis and getting things done for the material pleasure. You're talking about a higher spiritual purpose, and there is a difference. A lot of people are only stuck in the first part, that okay, I don't believe it, but okay, let me try. If it happens, I get some powers, I will make my life better. Okay, I can help some people. But you're talking about, it is entirely about us, entirely about me. The whole exercise, the whole spiritual journey is to take me from A to Z. And this is a huge paradigm shift. A lot of Western people
I will answer you one by
never
one
get
now.
to hear this. I'm sorry, it's a long monologue.
All right. So the first thing that you talked about is like praying to idols. It is better to like help people and practicing gratitude. No. These are two very different things.
Yeah.
Being a Hindu, this is something that needs to be stopped. All right. It is like, suppose your son goes to school, all right, and then he lives at his house, all right. So you cannot make your son sit at home on a bench and desk and then write. All right. And you will say, no, son, you need to sleep on bench and desk because it is how it happens at school. So spirituality and material world cannot be merged.
Okay.
What you do in material world is just to make yourself feel good. See, I tell you one thing. I will come back to idol worship, but I'm telling you one thing. As I mentioned, that there is a balance of dark and light. All right. You cannot be 100% good. Whatever you do, there will be a balance of good and bad in your life. Now, suppose we took out a book called Agarobhyo Ghoribhyo. All right. A lot of people will learn from it. So we are like good people. At least he wrote something that we can understand. All right. And then there are people who will say, oh, he has written so bad, I would have written better. For them, we are bad. Writing a book. So anything you do, suppose a doctor is treating somebody, all right, and the whole family is praying, oh, this person should be saved. But that person has given a lot of money to somebody, a bad example. and that person is praying, oh my God, he should die. I will not have to give that money. So the doctor saved life. He becomes God for one person, but the person who was praying he should die, for him, doctor is bad. So it is just a matter of perspective. All right. Material world should have three rules. First is you should be responsible for yourself. All right. Second thing is that when you are responsible for yourself, that means that if I need a glass of water, I will not ask somebody else to give me a glass of water. Understand? So my needs, I need to fulfill. That is one thing. Second thing, if I have done something, I cannot put it on somebody else's head. And third is, I have my own free will. You cannot force somebody to do something. If you follow these three rules, material world is sorted. After that, you just need to see what is good for you, nothing else. All right. Then whatever you do, like you give food to poor, that is your own karma. You feel good when you give food to somebody, but the point is ki even if you don't give food to a poor person, he will not die. Somebody will give him food. God has arranged everything. You were given that thought that you should give food. That is why you are going and giving it. Okay. Now let us come to idol worship. So this is a very strange thing that is developing in our country, or in the younger generation also, that people feel that why don't we help poor people instead of going to the temple. All right. See, temple and idol are a part of Shilpa Shastra. All right. It is a Shastra called Shilpa Shastra. So now any person starts making idol, but the older ones, they were made according to the Shilpa Shastra, and each of them are made in form of a yantra. So when you see goddess Kali idol, which foot has to be forward, which foot will be back, where should be it placed on Shiv's statue, all right, which hand should be in Sanghar Mudra, which hand should be blessing, everything is very specified. So it was made in form of yantra. All right. So there is yantra, there are mantra going on, that the whole temple premises becomes a yantra. So when you go there, you can actually evolve yourself much better. All right. See these photos. Okay. Like the photo that I have in the background, that is Bhairavji from the temple. All right. So photos and paintings. Okay. We never had photos and temples paintings. It is since a century that we are having it. Before that, there were pindis like we have in Vaishno Devi, or we have yantras. All right. So any religious person cannot merge spirituality with the material world. All right. Spirituality needs to be practiced in a different way if you want to grow spiritually. And your material world can be better. You can cut some of your karma by doing some good to somebody. A person who is begging in the street is because of his or her past life karma. Giving him a one-time meal cannot save him from his karma. This is his life. All right. So spirituality and the material world, they need to be practiced very differently. So Harshit ji, please start praying. Okay. Praying means, yeah, in Hindu religion, again, praying is not like, oh God, give us our daily bread. Sorry, I'm I'm always quoting Christian prayer is because I have read in a school. Okay. That belong to the missionaries. So I have more their verses than
you were trained in Bible. You were trained in Bible before.
Yeah, kind of. When I did my paranormal research, I was also certified. I can even perform marriage and all.
Okay. and exorcism. Yeah.
Exorcism also. Yeah, I'm certified for that. So in our religion, we don't ask God and goddesses for things. It is like if you pray to Durga, it is Durga, Durga, Tishamni, Durga, Padini, Vani, Durgam, Chedni, Durga, Shadni, Durga, Nashni, Durga, Dhani, Durga, Nihanti, Durga, Bahadurgam, Ganda. So it is about we are just praising our goddess.
Yeah.
some maybe 2 or 3 of the out of hundreds of verses you will find like Rupam Dehim, Jayam Dehi, Yasho Dehi, Dasho Jahi. All right, in the whole Durga Shapshati, this is the only place where you will see that a person can ask goddess.
Right.
Rest of the places, it is about we are like praying to goddess. You talk about Vishnu Sahasranam, it is his praise.
Yeah.
All right, you talk about Lakshmi Shrot, and then we also ask for forgiveness because we are human, we have our own limit. So our prayer is more of hymns and glories and asking for forgiveness for whatever wrong we are doing in the material world. All right.
It's
So
interesting,
this
isn't
is,
it, that we don't ask. We don't
ask.
We don't ask.
We don't
Yeah,
ask for forgiveness. Instead, we go and give roti. And then people will come to us and why are you pouring milk on Shiva? Why are you not giving it to the poor? I ask them that why are you sitting in the AC? The AC will cost 50,000 rupees. Give it to some orphanage. They will have food for a month. You cannot do that for 1 liter of milk. You will talk religion with me.
Yeah.
So this is something
interesting
that we need to understand. And when we talk about better life, so better life is not just praying. I again tell you that Sanatan Dharma is your ancient duty. It is not Sanatan ancient religion. It is ancient duty. In this ancient duty for yourself, you are taught to get up in the morning. You are asked to do Surya Namaskar. You have got so many poses of yoga. You are taught how to control your breath. You need to understand your breath. You need to understand which nostril your breath is flowing. And then you have been told if it is flowing through Chandra Nadi, the left, then these are the works you can do. If it is flowing through right, these are the works you can do. If it is flowing through both, these are the works you can do. We are so specific.
Yeah.
But we don't practice. And then we say, what is in our religion? We have sati system. We have gungat. We never had that. There's no sati system. There's no gungat in our religion. It is Mughals.
Yeah, the political distortion has happened. Yes, that is something different. But that brings me to an interesting
just
thing.
a joke. Like I was sitting with some people and I just said, tell me who can like feel their breath.
Yeah.
You just need to put your hand farther, and the more you can feel your breath, just tell me. So everybody was very happy. Somebody said, from 1 feet I can feel my breath. Somebody was, I can feel, and he was very feeling very bad. I can feel my breath up to here only. And I told them the person who can feel breath farther is more sick.
Yeah.
All right. So you should not feel your breath more than your lips. Your breath should not come down lower than your lips.
I'm okay.
It should be controlled up to here.
Yeah.
All right. So,
I'm all right.
Yeah. So that is the reason we don't know our religion. We don't know Sanatana Dharma, and then we like go on bashing people that why do you follow this? Why do you follow that?
Yeah.
Do not go to the temples. All right. Let us understand this beautiful religion. It will help you a lot.
It's just ignorance. That brings me to one of the most ignorant and stupid phrase and stupid understanding of Tantra in the West. The idea of tantric sex. Most people, even I know a lot of people in India, when they think of Tantra, they have only heard of a phrase called tantric sex. So why has it got distorted? There must have been some reason behind it. And what do you think of it?
See, there is no reason behind it. There's no tantric sex in India, thankfully, because from however religious ignorant our children will be, they won't be that ignorant. So the Western world, sadly, the relationship in Western world sadly relies on 2 things. One is sex and other is money. They don't have any other dimension to their world. All right. So those smart people who learned something from India and went to West. So when they tried teaching, see, when you do Omkar Nath, you will feel peace. They did not feel peace.
Yeah.
All right. So they got what is selling there, sex is selling there, and money is what they are going to give. So they distorted everything. these two things have nothing in common, and it has nothing to do with Sanatan Dharma. Sorry, it is a product of the West.
Hmm.
Tantric sex, it is not a product of India. It is not our product.
Hmm.
All right. So let us
It's-
not even talk about it.
It's
We
complete
disown it.
sham.
It don't have anything to do with us.
It is complete sham. It is complete sham, and it's just got nothing to do with the Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma. So this is a right place to dishonor it
Correct.
and make it very clear.
This is like anything that cow has to do with Moscow. That is what tantric sex has to do with India. There's no relation between the two. We don't know this.
It's
Our
interesting.
test has nothing like that.
Good that we cleared it once and for
Yeah.
all. And okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, lot of stuff we've talked about. I'm gonna do a pretty quick rapid fire and one word answers, and this is to know you better.
Yeah.
Favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie, I will say, the childhood favorite horror was Raat.
Okay, good one.
And when you have seen Raat?
Yeah. Ram Gopal Verma.
Yeah. No. Raat was, I think, it should not be Ram Gopal Verma.
Yeah, it's Ram Gopal Verma and that actress from Maine Pyar Kiya.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've seen it. It's
Yeah.
just amazing.
And modern day horror, I don't think so. I have any favorite movie. Because,
Right.
see, I just wrote an article 2 days back. If you have read,
I haven't.
I can say Kanchana, the South Indian movie Kanchana,
Yeah,
the horror comedy.
It's nicely done.
But-
Nicely made.
Yeah, and then there are some foreign movies on jinn.
Hmm.
There is a series. I don't remember the
Yeah,
name.
I've seen it. It's called
Yes.
it's called Jinn.
No, it's not called jinn.
It's
It
Turkish.
has
or-
some. Yeah. It is. Yeah, the Turkish one.
Turkish, yes.
Those are good. The
Yeah.
Black Magic and Jinn.
Yes. That's good.
That is one good series.
A book that you swear by. One book that, if you're only given one, what would it be? I know it's difficult.
There's no such book. There's no such book. Let me tell you. See, if I talk about books, so you cannot swear by Vedas or because they are knowledge,
Yeah,
right? And modern day spiritual books, I don't read.
yeah.
So I read books just to get idea of what is happening. What happens is when you read books, you start implementing it into your own life, in your own spiritual journey. So even for me or my students, any spiritual book is a strict no.
Okay.
But anyway, if I want to read one book, all right, just came into my mind. There is a book called The Holy Science by
Okay.
Yukteswar Giri.
Holy Signs by
So-
Yukteswar Giri. Okay.
Yeah, that is a book on astrology, kind of.
Hmm.
All right, and he was the disciple of Lahiri Mahasaya. So that is a very nice book. You will get a new version of Kali Yuga in that.
Hmm.
So according to that book, Kali Yuga has ended 1500 years back.
Interesting.
And there is a full calculation. Our astrology is a mistake, that book says.
So we are in
Our calculation of Yuga
Satyug.
is wrong.
so we are in Satyug now,
Yeah.
according to the book.
That book in 1900 had predicted that by 1970 we will have a great development in electronics.
Okay. Yeah, seems to be pretty good. Okay, next one is money the root of all evil? Yes or no?
Money is the root to all evils.
No.
Human mind is the root to all evils.
Good. I agree.
And what is
Okay.
mind? What is mind? Where's
Human mind.
Human mind is where? Scientifically, we don't have a mind. All right. It is a hypothesis. Psychology is a hypothesis and mind is a hypothesis.
Okay.
So the environment you are in is your mind. So anything around you is, if it is evil,
Hmm.
you are evil.
Hmm.
So when you are around people who are positive,
Hmm.
there's no evil, even if you have a lot of money.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In fact, money will eradicate ignorance. Money eradicates ignorance.
Hmm.
Because when you have money, your gates to knowledge are open
Hmm.
wherever you put your hand.
Hmm.
All right.
And I think, practically speaking, in the modern contemporary world, it is one problem less. It
Hmm.
fixes a lot of stupid problems, and you can focus
Yes,
on
it
the
does.
bigger.
It does.
Yeah, you can focus on the.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the next one is: can you still get scared?
So
I use can, not do. I could have asked, do you still get
no,
scared?
everybody gets scared.
Can you
See,
still get scared?
there is a rule. Like any new place, I am not supposed to stay alone for 3 days. The first three nights, I cannot stay alone.
Okay.
That is because once you have this open sheet and there are entities that can read you, you cannot read an entity, entity can read you.
Hmm.
So you can be attacked.
Hmm.
All right. So a fear of attack is always there.
Okay.
So when you stay for 3 days and you understand the entity, you may not fear, you know how to tackle it. But for first, yes, yes, anybody who
You can get scared.
has crossed the threshold has a fear.
Okay.
Not in this material world, but yes, fear
Hmm.
is there.
Okay. A spiritual practice that everyone should try, irrespective of religious beliefs. Something you would like to suggest that everyone should.
There are two things. One is at least every person should do Surya Namaskar. So Surya Namaskar will help you to keep your body in shape. All right. It will open up your veins. All right. And also all the chakras are aligned when you do Surya Namaskar. Second thing is every person should be doing breathing exercises. Not what
Pranayam.
Ramdev,
I mean,
not pranayam.
not pranayam.
Pranayam is a strict no.
Okay.
Pranayam is a strict no, and the concept of pranayam should be very clear before you do pranayam.
Hmm.
What Baba Ramdev teaches is not pranayam. That is not pranayam. Okay.
Okay.
He has made a product. See, it is not his mistake. As in the Western world, people wanted sex, so it became tantric sex. In India, what people want is they should be given some practical work in which they can engage themselves.
Yeah. Quick.
So if I tell you
fix.
pranayam is nothing but like you take breath, you release breath, and then you hold it. All right. This is the first step of pranayam. And the second step of pranayam is you take your breath in and then you hold your breath. So this is what pranayam is.
Okay.
Other things like taking breath from one
Alternate
nadi,
nostrils. Yeah.
releasing it from other, that has step. What Baba Ramdev teaches is the fifth step.
Okay.
So that is just to make you well versed with pranayam. All right. For a normal person, just taking breath, holding for 20 count, holding your breath and then releasing your breath, that is sufficient to start with. Then you must have a master to master breathing exercises.
Okay.
You cannot like master your life force with just one comment or just one video. You need time. You need somebody who has already mastered it.
Right. So two things that you suggest is Surya Namaskar and breathing exercise. For that, you need a master.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
but to start with 20 till 20 count,
count.
you can breathe in, then 20 count you hold it, and 20 count you release it.
You release it. Okay. That's good enough to start with. And hopefully that will yourself help you to understand and take you further in your spiritual practice.
Yeah, very much, very much.
So I think we're going to get a lot of questions based on things we have talked about. Some ideas very alien and new to a lot of people who will be watching, and I welcome comments and feedback. And I'm sure we're going to have to record another episode based on the comment and feedback, because I can tell you that there is a lot of new and fresh information that we've talked about. And on that note, I would really like to thank you, Shishirji, for your time. And I hope everyone likes this episode. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adesh.
Thanks a lot.